In the deep ocean realm, far, far away, there once was a creature known to be the deadliest predator of the sea, spending its day conquering and terrorizing every creature in sight. This is none other than the Megalodon. It's no wonder they were dubbed the prehistoric world's worst nightmare. But what if this humongous marine carnivore never went extinct? What would happen to us? And would you ever venture in the ocean if you knew this creature could be lurking underneath till this day? This type of shark lived during the early Miocene to the Pliocene, approximately 23 to 3.6 million years ago. Its scientific name is Carcharodon megalodon, which means big tooth, considering its teeth can reach 18 centimeters long. But how big of an animal would it be for its teeth to be this large? There have been many studies about the size of Megalodon, but it appeared to be a robust-looking shark, and may have a similar build to great white sharks. So, imagine a beefed-up great white shark for reference. Megalodon size estimates vary depending on the method used, with maximum total length estimates ranging from 14.2 to 20.3 meters, and its weight could range from 70 to 100 tons. Large great white sharks are generally around 6 meters or 20 feet in length, with a few contentious reports suggesting larger sizes. All of this means this creature was equivalent to 3 full-grown great white sharks. It was as heavy as 14 full-grown elephants, and its head alone was the size of a car. Now that we've established a terrifying picture of a megalodon, let's get to the more fun part. In case you don't know, over the years, many reports of megalodon sightings have emerged all over the internet. They all claim that these giant monsters never went extinct, that they've been hiding in the Mariana Trench. If you want, you can get your gear and dive down there to check for yourself, but it's not really an ideal scenario to imagine. And you probably don't need to, because scientists say there's more than enough evidence to debunk these online accounts. If megalodon sharks were still around, we would definitely know about it by now. Our oceans would be a heck of a lot more dangerous. And that would be no swimming or scuba diving, no more tanning under the sun at the beach. Just get ready to say bye-bye to hot girl summer season already. But if these ancient mega sharks were still roaming our oceans, the last place they could be is the hecking Mariana Trench. Because megalodons are actually warm water animals, and they wouldn't even be able to survive the frigid temperature there. So the fact that they are just hiding is certainly impossible. Unlike humans, they produce a ton of teeth every 1 or 2 weeks. Most megalodons would go through 40,000 teeth in their lifetime. That's the reason why we found so many samples of their teeth fossilizing down on the seabed. So even if megalodons brush their teeth, they wouldn't need to, because their teeth are covered in fluoride, making them cavity resistant. Because no one has ever found an intact megalodon, there's still a lot we don't actually know about them. But here's some information we've found out so far. Megalodons are widely regarded as the largest meat-eating shark to ever live on Earth. They first appeared 20 million years ago, and for the next 13 million years, the enormous shark dominated the oceans until becoming extinct just 3 million years ago. With very thick, jagged teeth, their diet undoubtedly consists of meat, mostly whales, seals, large sea creatures, and likely other sharks. Because with a body that big, they will have to consume an unimaginable amount of food. 1,136 kilograms of food per day. They probably feasted on animals as small as dolphins and as large as humpback whales. And I bet they would have avoided starfish, because not only does it look weird, but it tastes weird too. Besides, who would be cruel enough to eat Patrick? So don't you worry, Pat, we're taking you off the menu. We would know by now what would happen if these guys were still around. There would be zero fish for us to catch, considering the Megs have already devoured them all. And if they were here right now, would they bother eating something as small as a single human? If you've seen the movie The Megs, which is a good movie in my opinion, you know they just strike everything in sight. The way they attack their prey by clamping their teeth onto the target, which resulted in pulverized ribs and a ruptured heart and lungs. The second method was to rip the prey's fins, with the aim of immobilizing it before chomping time. In order to tackle prey as large as whales, Megalodon had to be able to open its mouth wide. It is estimated that its jaw would span 2.7 by 3.4 meters wide, easily big enough to swallow 2 adult people side by side. But the larger a creature gets, the greater its tendency to eat really small things. There are, of course, exceptions, and the Megalodon seems to have been one. It seems to have fed quite readily on the larger species of cetaceans that probably lumbered around the oceans. However, a hungry Megalodon would surely eat a human if their food source decreased. But today, it would probably, or more than likely, do well in the oceans given the larger megafauna and the fact that humans don't hunt the larger whales for blubber any longer. Or, we just stop going to the beach and all the problems are solved. And that's one less thing to worry about, am I right? After all of this astounding information, you may be wondering what happened to our giant friends. What made them go extinct? So, about 3 million years ago marked the beginning of the era known as the Pleistocene, when the temperature began to cool down and long periods of glaciation began to set in. This was the exact time of the Ice Ages. On account of the Earth's falling temperature, things started shifting in the oceans. That's because the change in climate led to a restructuring of how and where whales lived. The whales started migrating to find more food, sending them closer to the poles. And, being one of the Meg's primary food sources, it became harder and harder for the gigantic predator to find whales to munch on. And if you remember, our friends despise the cold water. It's possible that this is the reason for Megalodon's extinction. But that's just what scientists thought up until 2016. A group of researchers led by Dr. Catalina Pimiento decided to test that hypothesis. In detail, they tested the assumption that the Megs couldn't survive in cold water. The results said otherwise, because even though the shark preferred water from about 12 to 27 degrees Celsius, its fossils were still found in places where the water was as cool as 1 degree. So, if the whale's migration pattern weren't what killed the Megs, then what did? The answer is competition. Even though our guys were scary and ferocious, there were actually other flesh-hungry predators sharing the ocean that liked to eat a lot of things that these mega sharks did. And as the food chain started decreasing, these guys slowly disappeared. They have to fight other sharks for food, the big old Megalodons versus the small but fast great white sharks. Since the great whites are smaller, they require less food than our buddies here. And that is why 3 million years ago, they went extinct forever. So, what would you do if you saw a Megalodon? Let's find out in another video. Just imagine what would happen if you were that little girl.